for non-public though, he's listed everything, so I'm not sure. He's listed I'm not sure exactly. Well, I thought negotiations. I don't know if we need,
About what we were talking about.
yeah,
Who asked me to do it in the
it's this one,
second
C,
one.
yeah. So do you have anything for non-public other than under here? Did you want to go under for negotiations? I'm confused as why everything was there.
It's there in case any of you want.
All right, but all we talked about earlier was,
That's the only thing I would need.
what about, did you want to give us sheltering?
Oh,
We
did
got
you
that.
see the thing? Yeah, sure, if you want. I get that kind of thing all the time.
Well, I didn't know if that was just a late letter from her, another criticism.
Yeah, that's all it is. I think
Oh,
you
all
would
right.
go. I think you would go under B and C tonight. That way, it's open. You can talk about a few different things. Well, who
But
was
I don't think
bargaining?
we need to talk about
Okay,
that.
Then just C.
All right. Yeah, so just G.
Saying what they are saying.
At 6:34, can we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, we'll now do roll call, and we start over here.
Randy Pelletier. Carla. Karen Curry-Tonoff.
Eunice Landry,
Tim Broderick.
Heidi Duford. Mila Atkins. Eliza Drolet. Ann Pierce.
and Jay Fitzpatrick is actually here, he just had to step out for a moment. All right, I'm going to open up the first public input. Do we have any? We have quite a bit of public, so. Right, I'm going to close public input. We're now up to agenda review.
Make a motion to accept the agenda as presented. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Abstaining? Unanimous, thank you. We'll now take a motion for the approval of the minutes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of September 7th. Second.
Any discussion on the minutes? All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Those opposed? Those abstaining?
Abstain.
All right, we'll now move on to the reports. We'll start with the Finance Committee.
So the Finance Committee met this evening. We did our usual review of expenditures, and we are gearing up for our budget process. Discussed warrant articles. We don't expect anything out of the ordinary. There'll be a CBA warrant, and then the fields funding, fund funding, and the tech fund funding are really all we're looking at this point. And that's it.
All right, thank you. All right, Jay, you're going to give us a report on the ask?
Yes. Good evening.
Hi,
How are you?
your timing is perfect.
Well, just trying. reaccreditation letter. So I'm pleased to report that we did receive our accreditation once again, which is fantastic for all of us, more specifically for students and the community. We were cited on 10 different things in the positive, things that they commended us on, everything from our work on from drafting our school improvement plan to modeling our core values and beliefs about learning, the ongoing efforts that we've all made. So I honestly don't know if it's in your packet or not.
It is.
It is? Okay, so you've read it. I won't go too much into it, but I do want to thank everybody who was involved in it. It was a unique process this year. They did it virtually. After we were prepared to do it on March 16th last year, and we closed down on March 13th. So we were this close to getting it done and taken care of. So this go around, it was done virtually. I want to say a special recognition to the steering committee consisting of Kathy Fraser, Jesse Robitis, who are the chair people of the steering committee, and members Elizabeth Kahn from the Social Studies Department, Pam Sanderson from the Social Studies Department, and Mark Anthony representing the PE and Health Department. The steering committee really did most of this work preparing reports and drafting and collecting evidence and working with NEASC specifically. So, kudos to them. I'm very excited if everything goes according to plan. If we do all of our reports on time, we have this accreditation that carries us through for the next 10 years. So, very exciting. As far as excitement goes in education stuff.
Well, congratulations. Any questions for Jay on that? Thank you again. So we're now up to our, hold on, I lost my agenda. We're up to the stay open, I believe.
I have a brief report for you this evening, mostly because not much has changed or happened at the high school. We'll put this on our website and share it on Facebook this evening, but there are, as of today, 3 students at Prospect Mountain High School not attending school for some reason related to coronavirus. 2 of them because they're sick. One of those actually should have recovered and is due to return tomorrow, so there will be 1 that we know of tomorrow. We have 1 student who's a household close contact of somebody who is ill and therefore is out of school. That's it. That's how many people are not at Prospect Mountain High School due to reasons related to coronavirus. A total of 10 high school students have been sick since the first day of school. And again, as of tomorrow, all but 1 will have recovered and returned. Our nurse tests students daily who come in with symptoms, and they and their parents or guardians request testing. All those tests have been negative since the last positive test was on September 30th. I've included some graphs that show you that the rate of new cases per 100,000 in population in Belknap County over the last couple of weeks has begun to decline from its peak at 616.6. That the number of active cases in Belknap County has declined precipitously in the last 2 weeks, from a high in the 230s to 156 today. The number of active cases in Alton and Barnstead likewise have begun to decline significantly. My recommendation is to change nothing. Face coverings are optional at the high school, and I have no reason to suggest to you any change.
Any questions for the superintendent?
I have a question. I was just wondering, when you're looking at the outbreaks that both elementary schools have had, how do you look at that in relation to what we're doing at the high school as far as preventive measures and being proactive?
Sure. The outbreak in Barnstead has been cleared by DHHS as of last Thursday, so that condition no longer exists there. I spoke with Barnstead's elementary school nurse yesterday morning. He hadn't had a positive case since the end of last week, so I believe there's 1 active case among students and staff at the high school over there. I spoke with Alton Central School's school nurse this morning, who reported things have been quiet and the number continues to decline. I didn't ask her for the current number, but it had dropped from around 30 to 17 last week, and she told me this morning it had continued to drop. I can actually pull it up while we're here. If you want to talk about something else for a minute first.
I just wanted to state some more data for the record to add to yours. Because at our last meeting, you know, if we looked at the data for new cases over the last 14 days, which is what's on the New Hampshire.gov COVID dashboard, we were looking at a rate per 100,000 in Alton. This is as of 9/3, that's closest to our last meeting, of 545. The latest data available for 10/1 in Alton was 1,089, so that's basically doubled. In Barnstead, the rate at the beginning of September was 489, and as of 10/1, it had come down from 1,274 the previous week to 786, and that both Alton and Barnstead's rates are still substantially more than the Belknap County rates. And New Hampshire as a whole, if we take a look at the latest data for the 7-day average of new case average from 9/28 to 10/4, if we look back a year to 10/4/2020, that 7-day average, so the 7-day average for the last week has been 460 per day, and that's up 5% from the previous 7-day average. And a year ago on 10/4, the 7-day average for the state was 53 cases.
And the current number of cases at Alton Central is down to 11.
I think it's great that the school is offering a flu shot. I got that notification today. That's fantastic.
Yep, that's the regular flu shot. It has nothing to do with COVID-19, with the coronavirus. It is the regular flu shot clinic that's offered here every year.
Did he answer your question?
I'm not sure he answered my question. I was just curious how you were looking at the outbreaks in both the elementary schools in relation to what we're doing at the high school.
I'm looking for cases, clusters, or an outbreak in each school. And you certainly have the authority to look at it differently. I'm synchronizing this way of looking at it with other superintendents, some who have multiple school districts, and there are a number of districts around us where face covering rules vary by school. So in a school where there are clusters or more cases, there are more face covering requirements, and in other schools in the same district where there are fewer cases, there are not as many face covering requirements. So I would characterize our situation as that. We're not one district, but we're sort of a system between these two towns, at least now that you have one superintendent. So we're doing a little more talking about all 3 schools here than we used to. And the differences in face covering protocols is explained by the differences in case counts.
Okay, thank you.
All right, before we go on to our action items, normally on our agenda, we have an opportunity for the student rep and the superintendent and the principal to have any comments. Jay, did you have anything else you wanted to
I
say?
do have a couple more things that's not necessarily under the category of action items, but I was going to address them in my report, and I didn't realize that my report was in the ask report. We have several events coming up over the next couple of months, a talent show, a Battle of the Bay, which is the robotics competition that we host here, a Halloween dance, the National Honor Society trick-or-treat night. I have a group of students in the audience here tonight that are hoping to revive some type of homecoming activity for the fall. I need some guidance in terms of what your expectations are for some of these events. If we are going to host events that welcome community members in from the outside to here, I'd like your guidance versus me having to make all of those decisions independently. A dance, for example, if you haven't been to a high school dance in a long time, the same thing exists where there's a huge dance floor, but they all compact into one small area, jumping, screaming, singing, whatever it might be, in very close contact for a long period of time with loud, bad music. I'm interested to hear your 2 cents on these types of events and how you would like us to move forward in terms of safety measures, as these are co-curricular opportunities, they're not requirements. Do we want face masks? Do we not? Do we want to limit attendance? Do we not? Do we, what's your pleasure here? What would you like to see done?
Well, I think it would be a mistake to have a broad brush stroke for every event. I mean, isn't a dance is different than a trick-or-treating.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think it would be a mistake to just have a blanket policy.
So, with that being the case, with a talent show, which I think is one of the things coming up first, a talent show, students perform on stage, audience members in the crowd. When we gather the students inside the auditorium, we seat them every other seat apart so we can maintain that 3-foot distancing. We've yet to have an entire school assembly inside the auditorium because we can't fit 400 plus people in there while maintaining that spatial distancing. If we have a talent show, we may not be able to control how many people show up. If 300 people show up to a talent show, some may be students and some may be family members or friends. What would you like that crowd to look like? What would the expectation be? Every people still sitting every other seat? Masks required for audience members?
Well, we just had an open house and masks were optional there, and that was at a time when supposedly the rates were higher, so I don't know why we need to require masks at this point.
Well, I was gonna suggest that we follow some guidelines, first of all, that we have in place with distancing.
Mm-hmm.
And then follow what we see in most places around town where we do shopping or whatever, that say if you're vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask, or there's a sign that says if you're sick, don't come in, those type of things. So, I mean, is that something that we could do?
We can do anything here, which I think is part of the difficulty of this. If we do nothing and just say, all right, come in as you see fit, sit wherever you want, we're still giving and operating under the freedom of choice, which we currently are operating as a school, and we might pack 400 plus people inside that auditorium. Same thing with Battle of the Bay. There's usually hundreds of people who come to that event over the course of the afternoon, and if people are sitting shoulder to shoulder, we can say, sure, that's fine, and deal with it, and
Could you ask for, I don't want to use the term reservations, but could you ask for, like, starting with the talent show, a tentative number?
The dance recital had families sit together. I think that makes a huge difference. If you ask if families sit together, then they have family members with them and they know that they're clustering anyway at home.
Right? That's
And
a good
that
idea.
worked pretty well with the dance recital. All of us sat together. I don't know, you went also, Karen. They did stagger the show, so it wasn't the huge show it always is. They had the little guys do one block, and then they had the older kids do another block, so that there weren't the huge numbers they usually have at the dance recital. But it's in the auditorium, and that worked out very well for us as a family. We all just sat together. I don't know if that would make a difference, if we could do it that way.
It would be another suggestion, like Eunice was, I thought those were, good suggestions, just like everybody uses in the community.
And I'm happy to go back to each organization and work with them specifically about what their specific wants and needs are, because you are right, a high school dance is going to be different than a Battle of the Bay. And I'm happy to work with them. Is there anything that you don't want to see in place? Maybe is a more appropriate question.
Yes, what happened at the prom. And I don't think that you can have the vaccinated people wear a mask and the unvaccinated not. You're segregating, and we can't segregate.
Yeah.
So my opinion is it should stay optional. It's been optional. There's people who make their own choice, and
I think it's,
that's my
and I agree that it should be optional that's the rule that we have for the students here. But I think when you start inviting the public in,
That's different.
why not follow the same rules that, I mean, when I go to Hannaford's, they're all wearing masks in there. And I wear a mask when I go in because I don't know who's vaccinated and who isn't. So if we have some rules, simply, I mean, like a sign that most stores have, if you're vaccinated, a mask is optional. I mean,
It's an honor system, really.
Right.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, or as Carol mentioned, I think what they did for the crowd, from the dance academy, obviously that was the summer when numbers were lower, but if people were in motion, walking around, they wore masks in the aisles and moving around the hallways, for example, and then when they were seated, distanced in clusters with families, and then could take masks off seated. That seems reasonable if it's a crowded area where people have to go in and out of the same entrance and exit and walk in the same hallways and there's not an opportunity to distance. It seems reasonable to request people wear masks.
I agree. I think that's a good point.
But these events, so like the dance, the Battle of the Bands, I'm not really familiar with that, the talent show, I mean, what is the reality of family members coming to that versus the amount of students? It's
Yeah.
probably primarily students, is that
So-
correct?
The Battle of the Bay will actually be, I think, we're inviting 24 schools from around New England, who will all be coming. So each school usually brings a contingency of people, depending on who actually comes. So we may have a team from Connecticut who shows up and who
And that's
knows?
something that's in the auditorium, or?
That's in the gymnasium.
It is, okay. And
Yeah.
have you spoken, like, as far as that is, so I think this is gonna have to be a case-by-case basis per event, unfortunately, but, for instance, for that, have you talked to other schools and felt them out?
So here's the interesting part. Battle of the Bay is pretty much the first thing, the first event that's being done. In fact, the state reached out to the mentor of the robotics program today and wants to piggyback on making this Battle of the Bay event a Governor's Cup event, which is more of the state's involvement, which is a great thing for publicity for Prospect, but it also makes it a little bit more popular, which is going to yield more people. And everybody's been on hiatus for 2
Exactly.
years, and so we're kind of coming out of the blocks pioneering this one.
Does First Robotics have any policies regarding that?
Not that I'm aware of yet.
So the dance and the talent show are Prospect events, but the Battle of the Bay, is that hosted or organized by some other organization?
Organized and hosted by us with invitations going out to 24 different schools.
Okay.
My gut's telling me they should mask up because they're coming from out of state. You know, we don't know these people at all. I mean, it's one thing to have a dance with all our kids that we, you know, they know that they are going in. If they're not vaccinated, they know they're at risk, but their parents know that too. But I feel like if we're gonna have all these people from all over the East Coast, we probably should have them mask up.
And I know I've attended that event in the past, just bringing my kids to go and check it out, and it was packed.
Right.
Absolutely. And you gotta think, and you almost gotta hope that people are gonna wanna come out and attend this event. So
Right.
I would err on the side of caution with that many people in one place.
Especially for a lot of younger kids, like to attend that. It's not like a high school dance where it's only high school kids.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a very varied population, both geographically and age-wise.
I think it'd be very simple for you to require masks for that particular event. And then,
I agree.
you know, the dance is like, you know, the kids have the option of wearing a mask or not. You know, obviously they're not going to. Do you need a waiver signed by parents, or is that something legally we need to do?
So a school dance, a talent show, they are not part of the educational program here, so people can choose
Make
to not
choices.
attend.
Right.
I have a question, just, I know we've got some students in the audience too, Jay, but do you have a pulse on what the kids' opinions are? What do they want?
I've only spoken to probably less than 10 kids about a dance, and the sentiment seems to be what Tim just said, which is you have the option not to go, and everybody seems to be comfortable without wearing masks day to day. So
What
I
is
feel
the
it's-
first event?
I believe it is the talent show. And then I wanna say Battle of the Bay is in
Someone saying trick or treat.
in
Trick or treat in the audience.
They're saying trick or treat.
Is it the talent show?
November 12th.
November 12th, okay, so the trick or treat event, it's a little bit different because we're not gathering. I put that on the list of events that we have
Is that
coming
in
up,
the
but it's
gym?
not, it's gonna be throughout the school. It's a
Oh, it
one-way
is. Oh,
pattern
okay.
throughout the school, so we're less
And if
concerned
parents
about
want
that.
them to wear masks, they will.
Right.
I mean, my
Right.
grandson's
Right.
9, he wears a mask when he goes out in public, he has to, his parents make him.
So out of the 3 bigger events that we have coming up over the next month and a half, where we have outside people coming in or large clusters of people on one spot, the trick or treat thing is they're still undecided whether that's gonna be indoors or outdoors, so it's kind of,
Even better if it's outdoors, then it would take
Yeah.
away all kinds of
yeah.
problems.
So talent show, to follow somewhat of the similar parameters that other businesses have in place, which is distance if you can, wear a mask. Well, we can wear a mask if you choose to, or not. I mean, we don't have a way of knowing who's vaccinated and who's not. We're not interested in having that information. It is an honor system, just like it is everywhere else that you go.
No, but at least having a posting that
Yep.
says, you know, if you're vaccinated,
Give the
There-
advisements.
And
There-
can we
yeah.
ask them to wear the mask when they're moving through the
Yep.
lobby?
Yep.
I mean, would that be,
Yep.
to me, that would be reasonable.
Battle of the Bay,
Big
masks
which we
required.
require.
yes.
I think we should require the
Yeah.
mask.
As for dances,
I think it's a choice.
When,
I'm a mentor, I'm sorry, I might have offer some information, I'm a mentor for the robotics team. I think any person may be requiring masks for all their events when they come in and set up, so that may be something that is out of our control. So maybe in any first robotics thing.
you have heard it, or you,
I'm pretty sure,
Right.
there are other off-season events and they are requiring that those events be fully masked as well.
So it wouldn't be out of the question to do that.
right. And when I spoke with Brian Heichel, a couple of days ago, Friday, yeah, a couple of days ago at this point, he's okay with masks being required. At the time, he said he didn't know what First was doing, he hadn't read or heard anything. So, but if we're making decisions to go masks required, and it's supported by First, it makes sense, seems okay. And the dance being
When-
optional, masks optional,
when are the kids looking to have a dance?
I'm sorry?
When are the kids looking to have a dance?
I think it's the 28th, it's that Friday, last Friday in October,
Oh, it's a Halloween dance.
yeah.
Oh, this month,
Yes.
Halloween
It's a
dance.
Halloween
Yeah.
dance. I wouldn't make kids wear masks or dance.
You
I
would
would,
or wouldn't?
I would not.
No.
It becomes their choice. I mean, I know my own granddaughter wears a mask in school because she doesn't want to catch a cold, so she wears one. But it's her choice, and she doesn't care what other
Right, they
people
should be optional, and it should be very clear that they're optional
I mean,
to whoever's running the
it's
dance.
attended by our students, so,
Right, they get to choose.
yeah.
All right,
I think it's like being in school. They get to choose.
all right,
Is that helpful?
very,
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for bringing it up. All right, we'll now go on to action items, and we need to affirm our oil bid award. So I'll take a motion for that.
Make a motion to award the fuel oil bid for 2021-2022 to Urban at the cost of $2.421 per gallon.
Second.
All right, Lila,
Yes.
Eliza,
Yes.
Jason Henry, yes. Brandy,
Yes.
Eunice Landry, yes. Pam,
Yes.
Carol Lock,
Yes.
Rebecca,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Ann.
Yes, sorry.
All right, unanimous, thank you very much. All right, in our packet, we have a memo with the policy attached for a request from 2 students for early graduation, and the memo is from Jay. Jay, you want to give us an update on that, or?
The two students that you have in front of you have met the requirements. They have submitted letters requesting, they will have satisfied the graduation requirements by the end of the first semester, towards the end of January. Both of them are currently seniors, and so they would be finishing senior year early, but still intending on participating in all of the extra year, end of the year senior events. They both have submitted a plan for what they're going to be doing after graduation, and both have submitted letters of support from their parents supporting this decision. So I support it.
Make a motion to approve early graduation for Tazana Roberts and Mackenzie Holden.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you, unanimous.
Thank you.
All right, also in our packet, we have a personnel report. We have a couple of resignations.
Make a motion to accept the resignation of Tracy Weber. Okay.
Is it resignation or retirement?
Retirement, sorry.
With regret.
Yes,
He's great,
he's a nice guy.
yeah. Did I have a second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor? Aye.
Make a motion to accept the resignation of Gerald Fine.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Also, under action items, we have a item for substitute nurses. Do you want to give us an update?
Yeah, and I apologize for not having a memo in your packet about this, but it's pretty straightforward. A month ago, you acted to increase the per diem rate for on-call substitute teachers. What none of us knew at the time is that historically the school has used that rate to pay substitute school nurses as well, which is unusual. Most schools in the region pay RNs who come in to substitute for school nurses between $150 and $200 per day, which is a bit more than we pay even certified teachers who are in as daily subs. So my proposal is that you approve a rate of $175 per day for an RN who comes in to substitute for the school nurse, or if we have an LNA working in either of the other two school systems who's available to come here and act as our school nurse, and I'll be talking to the two other boards about this, which I think I need to do, we would pay them a differential, and then that SAU would bill the high school for the cost of their salary and benefits for that day.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Who made the motion? I'm sorry.
Karen.
I did. Karen. Thank you.
All right, we're now gonna go into a non-public session. Oh, so- I'm sorry, second public input. It's at the bottom of my page, sorry. Hi.
I'm Reese Burke from Barnstead. We just wanted to let you guys know that we have 101 signatures to back us up on the homecoming issue. We could get more if needed, but just letting you know.
Okay,
Thank
thank you very much.
Signatures for what?
Can you clarify?
What's the issue?
Can you clarify what is the
To have it.
Well, just like to have one, the approval for one.
And
When would you like to have it?
Right.
We were hoping to replace it or combine it with the Halloween dance, which is run by the seniors.
And so what would the homecoming events include?
A dance at the end of the night and a soccer game in the morning.
It would be a scrimmage between probably the boys and girls or grades or something like that, because there would be no way we could get a team to come out.
Something easy, just something fun to do.
Did you request a homecoming and it was denied? I guess I'm not sure, I don't think anybody's clear as to how come you had to go get signatures? Is this something you guys were denied having?
No, we just felt the need to have it, and
Okay.
we just wanted signatures to back us up.
So you'd like to have the trick or treat Halloween thing be a combo for a homecoming weekend, is that correct?
Yes,
Kind of like a lot of schools just did this past weekend.
yes.
Okay, all right.
All right, thank you.
Nice job. So should we vote on that?
Go on.
No?
I'll tell you right now, sorry, Jason English. Really nice seeing everybody's face, smiles. It's really refreshing. As I do every single meeting, I'm going to bring you the updated numbers. Probably give it to this guy to give you some copies. But since the last time we've met in this building, we're looking at approximately 4,500 more cases, confirmed cases of 0 to 19-year-olds contracting COVID. 27 of them were hospitalized and 0 died. Just to give you an idea, we're up to 24,000 children right now in that 19, 20 age bracket. And a little comparison for you to look at when we're looking at these numbers is, again, 95% of these death totals are 60 and above, which total to around 22,204, which is about 2,000 less than the kids are facing right now. And 87% of them, of hospitalizations, are 50 and above. So again, these children are not at risk. And one of the interesting things that I was thinking about while we were listening to your presentation is, Tim, did you just say that there are more cases of COVID, confirmed cases of COVID in ACS and Barnstead than there are in this school? Yeah. So this school is optional, the other two are not. So I do find that that is a pretty neat little correlation. And one of the other things that I was noticing was on Friday, I went to go get COVID tested because you get a sniffle and you don't want to walk around being called a bioterrorist anymore. So you got to go get yourself tested to make sure that you're not carrying COVID. And as I'm standing outside where it's cold out and I'm breathing, I just so happen to notice that my breath leaves my mask. And it actually floats down the line about 10 feet or so. And that's what I could see. So just imagine what we can't see. So the masks thing really just, again, they're not working, they're not effective, they're not saving anybody. I'm really sorry. It says so on the box, so they don't get sued. But it is something that we really need to start paying attention to, because while we all sit in this room unmasked and we force our other children in the other schools to be masked, it just doesn't seem like it's doing any justice when this school has less cases, and they're all from the same homes, right? So they have less cases here. So again, these policies are not making any sense, and it is really time to kind of stop COVID. I know this is a really hard decision, but us as a community need to make that decision that we're going to actually stop worrying about COVID, and we're going to stop pushing the fear on our kids that COVID is going to kill them. And couple questions. One, I am curious to know what happened concerning Barnstead and the teachers with making a couple classrooms raise their hand on who's vaccinated and who's not vaccinated. Find that very highly inappropriate, since the last time we were at this meeting with both boards sitting here told me and everybody else that's watching that that's not going to happen again, and a few days later it definitely happened. And then I'd also like to make sure that everybody knows too, because the mother actually has reached out to me on one of the children and did let me know that both of her daughters did come home crying that day because they were told that because they weren't vaccinated that they were going to die from Delta. This stuff has got to stop. RSA 197:2. This is not okay. It is against the law, okay? We got to stop this stuff. We have to stop fear-mongering our children, okay? It is time to move on. There's studies out there, antibody studies, that have been confirmed that around 70% America has already contracted this virus. We have 75% of the country that is vaccinated. Everybody that wants to get vaccinated can be vaccinated, okay? These kids are at no risk, 0 risk, okay? Thank you.
Any other public input? All right, I'll close public input, and thank you. We're now going to go into non-public session.
I move we enter non-public under RSA 91-A:3C.
Second.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.